Alam niyo po, bagamat wala masyadong aksyon sa court, well, hitik na hitik pa rin naman po ang mga istorya ng palakasan sa labas. At ngayon pong Sabado na umaga, hindi tayo nagkukulang ng pag-uusapan. Dito po sa inyong paboritong kasama sa almusal tuwing Sabado na umaga, ang Power and Play. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat, mga kapatid! Naku, patapos na ang Marso, ang Pebrero, papasok na po ang Marso, ha? Talagang patuloy po tayo nangungulila sa mga laro. Pero sa dami ng nangyayari, hindi po tayo mauubusan ng pag-uusapan. Ito po ang Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement, Big Boss at Tatag, Big Boss at Tibay, at ng Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Alam niyo po, itong nakaraang linggo, napakarami na nangyari. Alam na natin po yung, yung nangyari kay Tiger Woods. Kung yun pang mga hindi pa nakakaalam, yung pong isa sa pinakamahusay, legendary, iconic athletes of our time, si Tiger Woods, yung golfer po, ay naaksidente mga Miyerkules yata po yun o Martes ng gabi, Miyerkules ng umaga, dyan po sa Los Angeles. At siya po ay nagtamo ng serious injuries na nangailangan po ng operasyon sa kanyang binti, sa kanyang kanang binti, na bali yung kanyang buto sa dalawang lugar at nawasak po yung kanyang ankle. Ano ba yun? Ano ba tawag sa ankle? Yung ba yung bokong-bokong? Yung ankle, nawasak po. At kaya po si Tiger Woods ngayon ay, naging successful po ang kanyang operasyon. Subalit matatagalan bago makabalik ang 14-time major winner Tiger Woods. Yan po ay ating tututukan sa mga susunod na linggo. Of course, natapos na rin po ang botohan sa NBA, sa All-Star teams, at lumabas na po ang mga All-Star reserves. Naku, napakarami ding kontrobersiya dyan. Maraming hindi natuwa, marami naman ang natuwa din. At mamaya po, pag-uusapan din natin yan. Alam din po natin na si Novak Djokovic ay nanalo muli ng Australian Open. At sayang at hindi nakalaro ang ating kababayang si Alex Ayala. And of course, patuloy po natin tinututukan ang drama ni Kai Sotto. Kung saan ngayon linggo rin pong ito, lumabas ang balita na siya ay hindi na babalik sa NBA G League dun sa kanyang koponan na Ignite. Kaya naman po mamaya, marami tayong pag-uusapan kasama ng ating mga bisita. Huwag po kayong aalis. Hitik na hitik ang ating show sa kwentong basketball. Basketball galore. Pero siyempre, ang tumambag po sa atin kagabi na napakalaking balita na talaga namang ikinatuwa ng bansang ito na talagang lokong-loko sa basketball ay ang balita po na nag-withdraw ang New Zealand mula sa FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Yung pong New Zealand ay kasama doon dapat sa OQT na gaganapin sa Serbia. So ngayon pong June 29. Diyan po pipiliin yung mga koponan na papasok pa sa Tokyo Olympics. Yan po ay napospone na nga dahil sa pandemya at yan po ay na-reschedule sa Serbia. Nag-withdraw po ang New Zealand. They have formally given advice na sila po ay hindi lalaro dyan sa OQT. At ang desisyon po, ang pasya ng FIBA, yung International Basketball Federation, na ang susunod na pinakamataas na rango sa Asia ang dapat pumalit sa New Zealand. Sino ho yun? Pambihira, no? Talaga naman, sa tuwa ni Chris De Luna, yung aking kaibigan, napatalon. Dahil fan na fan ng Gilas, papasok po ang Pilipinas sa OQT. Yung pong ating pinaghihirapan, pinakaasam-asam na tsansa na makapaglaro sa Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Now, ito po ay balitang lumabas kahapon. Nagkaroon na po ng balitang sabi ni Presidente Al Panlino ng Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas na sila po ay natutuwa sa development na ito. Sabi nga ni President Al, si Chairman Emeritus Manny V. Pangilinan ay tuwang-tuwa na magkakaroon ng tsansa. Kanina po ka-text ko si Executive Director Sunny Barrios ng SBP and he confirms na nakatanggap na sila ng verbal verbal advice na ang Pilipinas po ang papalit sa New Zealand at maaari pong makuha na nila ang formal letter para dito po sa kaganapang ito. Kaya po ang ating pupulsuhan sa araw pong ito, ito po ang ating pupulsuhan. Ngayong papalitan na o may posibleng palitan ng Pilipinas ang New Zealand sa FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Sino pong player? Siyempre gagawa tayo ng koponan dyan. Sino pong player ang gusto ninyong makabilang sa Gilas Pilipinas? Ulitin ko po yan. Ngayon na posibleng palitan na ng Pilipinas ang New Zealand sa FIBA OQT. Sino pong player ang gusto niyo pong mapabilang sa lineup ng Gilas Pilipinas? Kung gusto niyo pong makisama sa aming talakayan, sa aming pong huntahan, mag-text lamang sa 0949-691-4956 o di kaya mas madali mag-post sa aming Facebook page, Power and Play with Noli Iyala, o sa Facebook page ng Radyo 5 92.3 News FM, o di kaya ay mag-post po sa aking Twitter account at Noli Iyala, ganun kasimple, at sa Instagram at Noli Iyala. Naku, napaka-exciting yung balitang yan sapagkat talagang ito ang ating hinahabol. Although we have to be realistic. Ito lang naman ang akin. Alam niyo po, ang makakalaban natin doon sa grupong yun ay hindi pipitsugin. Serbia nga lang po, mga kaibigan, na ating nakalaban doon sa World Cup. Alam naman natin kung ano nangyari doon. Serbia will be in our group, Group A, at ang Dominican Republic, hindi rin po yan mahinang koponan. At doon po sa Group B, na kailangan din nating talunin, andun po ang Italy, Puerto Rico, at Senegal. So hindi po ito siguradong bibigyan tayo ng chance na makapasok sa Olimpiada. Pero alam niyo po sa sports, ang importante lamang ay competition. Kaya naman po kahit papano, yun nga sinasabi, laban Pilipinas. Ngayon po may pagkakataon tayong makapasok sa FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Alright, marami po tayong pag-uusapan. Basketball ngayong araw pong ito. At sisimulan po natin sa pamamagitan ng ating Fast Take, of course. Ang ating paboritong segment kung saan ang ating makakausap ay walang iba kundi ang ating mga kaibigan na sports journalists. At ngayong araw po ito, tayo maswerte na makakasama ang mga taga ESPN5. Walang iba kundi ang ating mga kaibigan si Carlo Pamintuan at si Eros Villanueva. Good morning, Carlo. Nice to see you again. Good morning, Eros.
Tom. Good morning, Com.
Thank you for joining me this early. Always good to have people sa ESPN5 kasi kayo yung talagang nakatutok sa mga balita, lalong-lalo na sa basketball. And I will begin with that, Carlo. As I said, lumabas ang balita na ang Pilipinas ay maaaring maglaro dun sa FIBA OQT. And of course, that'll be a tough journey for all of us. But ano dapat na maging mindset dito, Carlo, ng Gilas Pilipinas as we grab this opportunity to finally play in an Olympic qualifying tournament?
Butas ng karayom yung kailangan daanan ng Gilas Pilipinas para makapasok sa Olympics. No? As you said, Serbia and Dominican Republic yung mga kalaban natin in the group stage. And we also know the result kung ano yung nangyari the last time that Serbia went up against the Philippines. So for me, it's all about representation. Ang importante dito is to send the best team possible, to prepare them the best way possible, and whatever happens, happens. Ang importante lang sa atin is to put out the effort. Kasi if you dream about beating a team like Serbia and Italy and Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico and Senegal, baka malunod ka dun sa expectations. But if you just focus on creating the best possible team, I think that is where we should start.
And of course, Eros, when you talk about creating the best possible team, alam natin na ngayon ang SBP ay nasa proseso na halos ma-naturalize na si Ange Kwame. Ano ang feeling mo dito sa prosesong ito? Unang-una, aabot ba? Pangalawa, do you think Ange Kwame would be a good fit para sa ating koponan going to the FIBA OQT?
I think the good news for the SBP is Angelo Kwame is nearly going to be nationalized. I think pagdating po dito sa OQT, I think it's a good time for Angelo Kwame to make his debut. But I guess they have to make extensive preparations nga po with the rest of the national team. Yeah, I think Angelo Kwame will be a good fit with the rest of the national team and their plans moving forward. And if they want to send him into future tournaments like the 2023 World Cup, I think this would be the good time to throw into the fire. Ika nga po.
Excellent. Well, alam natin na kahit papaano kailangan bumuo tayo ng best fit team. Yung talagang saktong-sakto. Sayang at yung qualifier is right around the corner ng NBA Finals and Jordan Clarkson may just be in that NBA Finals at hindi natin siya makukuha. But nonetheless, we are still hopeful with the Gilas Pilipinas squad. All right. At this point, hindi pa yan ang mga takes namin, mga kapatid. Hindi pa po yan. Ito pa lamang, magsisimula tayo sa fast take. At dito, ang opinion ni Carlo at ni Eros ang mahalaga because sila ang nasa likod ng mga balitang pangpalakasan. And of course, walang mali, walang tama, bato-bato sa langit, tamaan, huwag magagalit. Ito ang ating unang fast take issue of the morning. Napabalita na nagsalita si Coach Yeng Giao na dapat daw ay magdagdag na, panahon na daw para magdagdag ng mga koponan sa PBA. He thinks that mga 15 teams ang dapat na maging expansion ng PBA. So, Carlo and Eros, ang tanong, oras na ba para magdagdag ng bagong teams sa liga ng PBA? I will begin with you, Carlos. Carlo, you have 1 minute. Go!
Come for me in terms of talent, tama yung sinabi ni Coach Yeng Giao na sobrang dami naman talaga nung pwedeng makapaglaro in the PBA. We will see the entrance of a lot of outstanding players in the upcoming draft. And unfortunately, we will see also the exit of a lot of people who deserve still to play in the PBA. However, yung dalawang tanong dito is, how do we find the right companies to be able to join the PBA? And more importantly, I think, when you find the right partners, what process will they engage in para makapag-compete agad in the PBA? Because I think it's something of a struggle so far in terms of expansion kasi doon tayo nahihirapan. Ano yung ibibigay nating proseso? Will we allow them to hire as many, talents as possible from the amateurs and bring them to the pros? Will we engage in a dispersal draft? That is the bigger question for me. In terms of readiness, handa ang PBA, but who will it be and how will they get there?
Very good. Alam mo, maraming binanggit nga si Coach Yeng Giao ng mga basihan, rason para dito. And obviously, yung mga pinunto mo, Carlo, are excellent points, right on the money. Sustainability, and of course, kung paano magiging malakas yung koponan na yun. Eros, same question. Panahon na ba para magdagdag ng mga koponan ang PBA? You have 1 minute. Go!
Commonly, I think an expansion can only happen in an ideal situation in the PBA. But right now, your environment, right now in the PBA, it doesn't allow for that. I think Coach Yang was very on the nail in some of his points, especially with the level of talent in the Philippines. There's more than enough talent to accommodate 2 or 3 teams. The problem is, are they going to be competitive? Because the last 2 expansion teams, Blackwater and Terra Firma, they only combined for 97 wins and 265 losses, if I'm not mistaken. And they only managed to make the playoffs a combined 5 times for Blackwater. That's not really competitive. Top teams are compiling talent like it's an arms race, and that is their prerogative. That is fine. They're basketball clubs, but if you are going to add 2 to 3 more teams to the mix, they have to be competitive. And right now, I don't think there's a guarantee that they will be competitive. I think sometime in the future, if the league can guarantee an equal level of playing field for the teams, I think an expansion could be in play.
Very good points. I totally agree with that. I think there must be, of course, a balance in the league. Dapat maging maganda ang labanan. I've always espoused this as early as my term. Lahat ng sinabi ni Yeng, but I want to add one more reason bakit dapat magkaroon ng expansion if ever in the future. Alam nyo, isang word lang, delusion. Alam nyo po, pagka nagkaroon ng 14 o 15 team, yung mga teams na mga conglomerates na tiga-tigatlo, na ngayon ay 6 out of the 12, 50%, yan ay madidilute. And when you talk about dilution, that means voting becomes wider in terms of its base. At pag naging wider ang term ang voting, mas magiging transparent ang mga pangyayari sa PBA. So I think dilution maybe another word is relegation. Yung mga mahihinang koponan, dapat ibalik yan sa mga D-League, no? If ever magkaroon ng expansion. Let's go to our second take of the morning, gentlemen. At ito naman medyo lighter side, but this goes to the NBA. Nagsalita si Kyrie Irving, at in fact, nag-post siya sa kanyang Instagram na dapat daw palitan na ang logo ng NBA na ngayon ay si Jerry West. Sabi niya, it gotta happen. I don't know what anyone says, but Black Kings built the league. And sabi niya, dapat na daw palitan ni Kobe Bryant ang logo ng NBA. So, Eros, I'll begin with you. NBA logo dapat daw palitan ng imahe ni Kobe Bryant ayon kay Kyrie Irving. Agree ka ba? 1 minute, go!
I absolutely do not agree that Kobe Bryant should be the logo for the NBA. I'm saying this as a Kobe Bryant fan growing up. I was a Kobe Bryant fan of his on-court legacy. But if we're going to have a discussion of Kobe Bryant, now siya yung magiging logo ng NBA, there also has to be an honest conversation about his history, his past. In 2003, Kobe Bryant was involved in a sexual assault case. He was later acquitted, pero that was only because the victim refused to testify. I think regardless of whatever side you're on, we have to understand that the NBA is a business, and if they're going to put Kobe Bryant as a logo of the NBA, they are risking an attack from critics, and I don't think it's good for the business. It's good for for them to be questioned by their shareholders. There are much better choices to be icons like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's an activist, and his skyhook is picture perfect. It's just perfect for the logo. I think that's just my personal opinion for
I love it. I love it, Eros. Those are takes that are not popular, but, very valid. Same question, Carlo. Kyrie Irving says, palitan na ang logo mula kay Jerry West patungo kay Kobe Bryant. Agree ka ba? 1 minute. Go.
I disagree. One of the strengths ng NBA is when you see their logo, even without the letters NBA, when you see that logo, you know immediately what it is. It's one of the strongest brands in the entire world, and you don't mess with something like that. I understand where Kyrie Irving is coming from, but I think we can celebrate legends differently. Yung kay Jerry West being the logo, we celebrate, Michael Jordan for being gold, we celebrate different people differently. So para sa akin, tamang respeto lang para kay Jerry West and his contributions to the league that he becomes the logo. And I think you really don't have to mess with something that is not broken. I mean, Jerry West has been the logo forever, and he deserves to stay in that spot because, they've built a brand around it. And for me, there are other ways to celebrate Kobe. In fact, Kobe Bryant is more mentioned and will forever be more mentioned compared to Jerry West. Kaya pabayaan na natin yung logo ng NBA sa kanya.
Let the sleeping dogs lie. Ika nga, tama. Exacto. And I share your sentiment, Carlo, as well as Eros. I do not believe in it. Unang-una, I do not agree that only black players built this league. Number two, this is all about recency bias. I mean, syempre, mas recent ang memory ni Kobe Bryant, but Jerry West was as iconic a figure as Kobe during his time. All right, let's go to our third and final take of the morning. Alam naman natin ang nangyari kay Kai Sotto. His saga has been well documented, and the latest of which ay siya na hindi na babalik sa Ignite at hindi na maglalaro sa NBA G League. With this development on the FIBA OQT, ang tanong, ano na ang dapat na maging susunod na hakbang ni Kai Sotto? Carlo, I'll begin with you. 1 minute. Go.
For me, yung importante lang for Kai Sotto right now is to get back on the court. Yan yung pinaka-importanting bagay because it's been a while since we've seen him play legitimate, a 5-on-5 game that matters. We almost saw it with Gilas Pilipinas. Unfortunately, hindi nga natuloy yung FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers in Qatar. So if there are possibilities in going to Australia or New Zealand, places that, have handled the coronavirus situation well, places that have hosted yung kanilang mga liga, I think that is something that his team and Kai Sotto should really consider. Europe is also an option, but for me, you have to be open-minded when it comes to this. hindi iisa yung path patungo sa NBA. Hindi dahil karamihan ng mga naglalaro sa G League ngayon will be drafted next year. Yun din yung dapat mong sundan. There are a lot of other methods to be able to enter the NBA, and I think getting seasoning in tough leagues in Australia and New Zealand will really help his career.
I love that. Yung getting seasoning, of course, getting tougher. That's something that obviously Kai Sotto is not yet at this point. Bagamat alam din natin na mahirap maghanap ng 7'3" na ganyang ka-mobile. Alright, Eros, same question. Ngayon, may pinagdadaanan si Kai Sotto. Ano ang dapat na susunod na hakbang ng ating teenage prodigy? You have 1 minute, Eros. Go!
I agree with Sir Carlos' statements. My colleague the other day, Philip Mattel of ESPN5.com, he was able to interview Coach Chuck Reyes, and Coach Chuck summarized this best. Kai should stay the course. Right now, training should be the priority, especially if he's in the US. The whole incident, the whole ordeal is unfortunate, but right now they have to move forward. There has to be an honest conversation between him and his handlers that they should put his NBA dream front and center of everything. And then after they have that conversation, they can move on to looking to other options. Europe is always going to be a good option, but maybe only if they are willing to accommodate Kai Sotto's willingness to play for the country at any point. Kai Sotto can also go to the NBL in Australia, where LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets was able to build his draft stock. I think what I'm trying to say is hindi po ito yung katapusan na NBA dream ni Kai. It's a setback, of course, but there are still so many avenues to make it to the NBA.
I agree. I agree with the two of you. I think this is not the end. Certainly not the end. I do not see that at all. It is a hump on the road. Pero alam natin na very resilient ang bata. And the only thing I wish for him is that he becomes the best version that he can be as he grows into that dream of his papunta ng NBA. Gentlemen, Carlo, Eros, always a pleasure. I love your show, Carlo. I always try to imitate or at least learn from what you guys say. And Eros, I will always follow everything that is going on in ESPN5. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagsama sa amin ngayong umaga.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Carlo.
Carlo.
Mga kaibigan, yan natin mga kaibigan from ESPN5, Carlo Pamintuan at si Eros Villanueva sa ating paboritong Fast Take. We will take a quick break dito po sa Power and Play. Sa aming pagbabalik, more basketball news dito po sa Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Nagbabalik po ang Power and Play ngayong Sabado ng umaga. Bago tayo magpatuloy, gusto ko lang congratulating si Chairman Ricky Vargas ng PBA for being elected to his 4th straight term as chairman ng PBA at 5th total. Pinakamarami na po yan. And, since I think panahon pa nung 70s, and it's a testament to the leadership ni Chairman Ricky Vargas. Naging chairman ko rin si Ricky when I was commissioner back in 2006 and 2007 season. So I know kung anong klase ang kanyang pagtatrabaho, and I again salute Chairman Ricky Vargas para sa kanyang eleksyon. At this point, balikan muna natin ang best moments sa kasaysayan ng palakasan this week in sports history. Noong February 28, 1940 o 81 years na ang nakakalipas, umere ang kauna-unahan, ito mga kaibigan, kauna-unahang live broadcast ng isang basketball game. Sa W2XBS ang pangalan ng TV station na nagpalabas ng laro sa pagitan ng Fordham University at Pittsburgh University na ginanap sa Madison Square Garden sa New York. Pero dahil nga first time, nagkaroon ng technical problems at 20 minutes na nag-blackout ang TV. Gayunman, nagpatuloy pa rin ang laro kung saan nanalo ang Pittsburgh kontra Fordham 57-37. Yan po, this week in sports history, ang kauna-unahang live basketball game sa telebisyon. Naku, pambira. Buhay na ang aking tatay noon, pero hindi ko alam kung nasa sobrang laking fan noon kung meron na ba nagbo-broadcast dito sa Pilipinas. At this point, pinag-usapan po ang basketball. Tayo po'y mapalad na ipasok ngayon ang ating magiging panauhin. Siya po ay star ng NLEX Road Warriors, and of course, isa rin sa mga napipili na maglaro para sa Gilas, Pilipinas. And right now, we're very honored to have with us on the show live si Kiefer Ravena. Good morning, Keith.
Good morning, Com. Hello. Good morning sa lahat. Sana okay kayo
Salamat
lahat.
for
How are
joining
you?
us. Medyo wala pa tayong video. Tingnan natin kung makukuha natin yung video, but I can hear Kiefer.
Ayan, meron na ba? Meron na po ba?
Wala eh.
Yung audio ko,
Ano lang?
okay na ba? Wala ba?
Audio, nakikita ko. Okay. As you try to fix that audio, subukan natin muna ha. Tingnan natin kung makukuha natin yung video ni Kiefer. Dahil syempre gusto natin makita kung gaano kagwapo si Kiefer. Talagang nangangamusta tayo. Dahil matagal-tagal na rin po natin hindi nakakasama to si Kiefer. Huli kong pagkita dito, nasa golf course pa eh. Nung bago pa magpandemya. Dahil si Kiefer ay nung medyo lumuwag-luwag ng konti, pwede na humaglaro, gumaling ito eh. Sa paglalaro ng golf. Lalong-lalo na nung nagpaparecover ito sa injury, sa galing, gumaling ito. At ngayon, ang balita ko, si Alyssa Valdez, yung ni Kiefer, yung special friend ni Kiefer, ay siya naman ang napakagaling. So tingnan natin kung mababalikan natin yung video at audio ni Kiefer Ravena. Again, si Kiefer po mga kaibigan, isa sa mga iniisip o nababanggit na papasok dyan sa Gilas, Pilipinas. In fact, siya po ay naglaro or nag-training dyan sa Calambabol ng Gilas, Pilipinas doon sa Inspire Academy kung saan nakasama niya yung iba pang mga aspirants, no? At right now, ngayong may dumating na balita tungkol dito sa FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament. Obviously, ang pangalang Kiefer Ravena ang isa sa mga highly being mentioned na pangalan dyan po sa lineup ng Gilas. All right, let's see. Kiefer, are you back on air? Ayun!
Yun. Hi, how are you?
Okay, kamusta, Kiefer? Alam mo, sa dami ng bubble mo, nagpunta ka sa PBA bubble, tapos nagpunta ka sa Calamba bubble. Kilala ka ba ni Alyssa?
Kilala pa po naman nila.
Okay, let's begin with the Gilas training camp, Kiefer. Alam ko na, you were there for quite some time training with the team. Ikaw ang isa sa mga nauna doon. How was the experience? And of course, playing with the new guys, the young guys ng Gilas Pilipinas. Who impressed you among these players, Kiefer?
Well, of course, syempre yung the whole program was set up for them, no. Nakakatuwa isipin na magsa-start ulit yung gustong mangyari, like what happened nung pinakaunang Gilas Cadets na matagal sila nagsasama-sama and talagang merong set training camps para sa kanila. And it's nice to be part of the program, and it's nice to be playing against, most of the guys hindi ko naman na nakalaban nung college. Ilan na lang sa kanila ang naabutan ko, pero it was a good mix of character, it was a good mix of players, from the PBA guys to the cadets, and it was very competitive. It was very I'd say efficient in terms of training, kasi with the time that we had, we were able to really squeeze in all the things that we needed para makapag-prepare sana for Korea and Indonesia. So we were at the latter part na talaga nung nalaman namin na na-suspend na yung laro or na-cancel na. So which was a little bit disappointing for everyone, kasi syempre pagod din yung ginagawa, tapos ang tagal din namin nawala sa families namin, tapos we were all ready to play talaga, sobrang ready na talaga. Andun na yung mindset, nandun na yung condition ng mga players, tapos yun lang, na-cancel lang. Pero we're still ready for anything that might come up in the near future.
Right. Oh. Well, nabanggit mo nga yung cancellation ng FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Any regrets, Keith, na all of that time medyo nag-google kayo ng oras, panahon, ng sakripisyo, ng effort? May panghihinayang ba, Keith?
Meron sigurong panghihinayang, pero I wouldn't say yung regrets na dapat hindi na lang ako pumunta doon kasi nalayo pa sa family. Hindi, definitely that's far from the equation. It's more of yun nga, sayang yung pagod, tsaka yung pawis, tsaka yung eagerness na maipakita mo na alam namin na ready na talaga kami. Yun yung parang, yun po yung parang pinaka panghihinayang, kasi alam kong may ibubugay, alam kong may ipapakita talaga yung team eh. Kaya excited sana ako para sa aming lahat.
Sayang talaga.
Maipakita kung syempre South Korea po yung makakalaban, hindi naman biro yun. Syempre lahat kami ang naririnig lang namin is bata yung mga pinadala. Syempre baka maano sa Korea ng experience, no? So, gusto namin i-prove yun otherwise, kaya dun kami nahihinayang talaga.
Kiefer, alam natin, nakikita natin mga litrato, ang dami mga player na, talaga naman magagaling dyan, and some of them nakasama mo pa. But one guy na alam natin na pumasok dyan na hindi masyadong napag-usapan kung ano ang kanyang naging performance dyan, was Kai Soto. We know what has happened with him. Dumating siya dito, nag-quarantine, finally nakalaro siya sa inyo, only to be told na hindi matutuloy yung FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. Una, kamusta si Kai sa camp, Kiefer? How was he performing? Did you see marked improvement sa kanyang laro?
Actually, kung tutusin mo, hindi din namin siya talaga nakasama because of the quarantine protocols eh. Kasi hindi din talaga siya umabot eh. Kasi hindi ko alam kung kailan siya dumating dito. Parang nasa mga Feb 2 or Feb 3 ata. Something like that during the first week. So he had to finish the 14 days. So, parang hindi din namin siya halos nakasama.
So let me just get this clear. So medyo hindi talaga siya nakapag-practice o nakapag-ensayo sa inyo ng matagalan?
Hindi po siya papayagan eh. Hindi po siya... may protocols po na kailangan sundin, and I think that's more important. Siyempre, ayaw natin magkaroon pa ng problem beyond breaking the rules, no? Baka may magkasakit.
So he never entered Inspire? Hindi siya pumasok at all?
Wala po siya doon, Com. He was just there with us, watching practice. Siyempre, I think they all had an agreement with Inspire on how to handle Kai, and I think that's beyond me to talk about.
Okay.
Pero I think that's the most important thing for people to know, no, na Kai always showed his willingness to play. I think that's the most important thing, for the kid to yun lang, kahit hindi namin siya nakasama, pero yung willingness niya na gusto niya talaga kami makasama, parang okay na sa amin yun.
Well, he will be a regular fixture in the national team for
Oh,
sure. At
definitely.
lalong-lalo na yung ganyang klaseng laki. And talking about malalaki, alam din natin nandun si Ange Kwame
Yes.
sa Kalamba Bubble, and he's a guy na ngayon ay nasa balita dahil malapit na siyang maging Pilipino.
Yes.
I honestly think it's a done deal. And he has already mentioned and he said during one of his interviews, sabi niya during the bubble, Kiefer was kind of my mentor whenever we feel down or up. He was there for everybody. He's kind of competitive, so I like the competitiveness that he brought in court, close quote. And how big of a contribution sa tingin mo si Ange Kwame sa national team, Keith? And does he fit with the national team?
Oh, yes, most definitely, Kom. I'd agree with that. Actually, kaya din ako talaga nakatutok kay Ange kasi alam ko he's going to be part of the future plans of the national team also eh. So yung si Ange talagang nakakatuwa sa kanya. Actually, even before getting naturalized, parang Pilipinong-Pilipino na din talaga siya. So he's more Filipino than everybody else thinks. So nagtatagalog na yan, talagang marunong na siya makisama. So it's going to be, a good addition for the team, especially wala pa naman tayong Pilipino na 6'11", very agile, can play from the outside and the inside. Tapos syempre bata pa si Ange, tapos yung future lineup na gusto mong makita with Ange, with Kai, AJ Edu, those guys na will fill up the front court talaga, 'di ba? So ang laki nun. So and hopefully I think I'll agree with you, Kom, on the part na sana done deal na talaga siya kasi syempre dadating na June, malaking bagay kung makasama talaga sila lahat, 'di ba? So
right.
FIBA Olympic qualifiers.
Talking about the FIBA Olympic qualifying tournament, alam natin lumabas yung balitang yan kagabi. Ano naging reaction mo, Kiefer? Are you excited about it? Do you think it's going to be worth getting into another training camp para lamang tayo ay ika nga ma-represent dyan sa Olympic qualifying tournament na yan?
Yes, of course, Kom. It's going to be worth it. But again, you have to be real with how the other countries are playing. We're grouped with Serbia and the Dominican Republic, and it's really going to take a lot of preparation to win against those teams. So whether ko sino man ipapatawag, I think it's better to start talaga as soon as possible. We have to take this blessing as it is an opportunity na hindi man tayo nakasali nung una pero nabigay pa rin sa atin. So kailangan i-grab talaga natin to. So whether we make it or not, at least alam natin lahat na pinaghandaan natin siya. I think it's a good step forward moving into the bigger goal of
right.
Hosting the 2023 World Cup. So I think that's how we should have the mindset that we should have.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. Alam naman natin may mga plano pa tayo at hindi naman ito talagang end goal, although bonus kung makakapasok tayo ng Olimpiada, pero kagaya na nabanggit mo, we have to be realistic sa ating mga expectations. Keith, obviously outside of the Gilas team, malapit na ang PBA and the NLEX Road Warriors is already preparing. Marami nang nababanggit ang inyong head coach na si Coach Yeng Giao. Anong bagay na nagpapa-excite sa iyo ngayon, Kiefer, as you prepare for the 46th season? Have you started practices at all?
Yes, Kom. Nagsimula na yung practice, but again, just like before, yung practices namin very limited due to the protocols. Apat-apat pa rin din kami. But every day, still going there, and makes me excited for what's to come with our team. The PBA draft is malapit na siya. Tapos a lot of players, we have a very deep draft coming into this year. Tapos syempre gusto namin makabawi. We were very disappointed with what happened inside the PBA bubble. But nevertheless, we have to forget about it and make it as motivation to bounce back and even perform better this coming year, whether we're having 1 or 2 or 3 conferences. Yun naman din, and
Yeah.
excited na rin siguro sa mga fans,
Ah,
Yung mga fans excited na din makapanood ng
Talaga,
basketball.
nami-miss na kayong lahat, and of course, yung lalo na yung NLEX Road Warriors na nami-miss na pumasok sa playoffs, no? So that's something that I think talagang kailangan ninyong bunuin. But napapag-usapan yung draft, sabi mo nga, it's a very deep draft. Meron kayong 3rd and 4th picks, Kiefer. Ano sa tingin mo? I'm not gonna ask you sino ang pipiliin niyo because obviously yan ay sa mga coaches, but from the way you estimate the team, ano sa tingin mo ang needs ng NLEX? At anong dapat na hanapin ninyo as you enter this PBA draft?
Well, obviously yung size talaga. I think that was really glaring during the bubble. That's what we lacked. And also with the departure of Asi, syempre another big guy na naman yung nawala. So, kailangan punuin yung spot na yon. And actually lang iniisip ko lang yung mga nawala kasi sa team si Asi pati si Cyrus. Nag-retire na sila pareha. So, if you could fill in, a very athletic, long, and skillful wingman like Cyrus, malaking bagay din yun, di ba? Syempre, hindi man agad-agad mapapalitan yung Cyrus Baguio, pero, if we could get somebody na plays similar or plays like Cyrus, syempre si Cyrus, player na din ni Coach Sheng yan before, pasok sa sistema namin, ganun. So, yun ang magiging magandang namin, kung makakakuha and kung sino talaga magiging available for the draft.
Well, 3rd and 4th picks ay napakagandang pwesto yan. And usually yung ganyan, yung hindi na mahirap mag-isip. Kasi kadalasan ang hirap mag-isip ng number 1. Pero yung pagdating sa 2nd, 3rd, 4th, medyo may consensus sa dyan kasi may mga top 5 players naman kayo at mas maganda ang pagkakataon. Kiefer, I know it's been a busy year already for you at marami pang darating. So I really wish you luck. Before I let you go, any message for your fans, especially for the NLEX Road Warriors na talagang miss na kayong lahat at of course yung paglalaro ninyo at pagpapapanalo?
First of all, Com, thank you for inviting me again here dito sa show mo. It's always fun to talk about basketball, and next time mag-golf na tayo, Com.
Yeah!
Golf na tayo. Pero sa lahat ng PBA fans, ng NLEX Road Warriors fans, and ng Gilas Pilipinas fans, maraming salamat sa suporta na binibigay nyo. Onti na lang, I'm sure makakapaglaro na ulit kami ng basketball and makakapagbigay saya, makakapagbigay entertainment na kami ulit sa inyo. Sana healthy lang kayo lahat. Let's follow everything that's needed to be followed. Let's stay safe and healthy. And yun lang, sana patuloy nyo kami isama sa mga dasal nyo, lalong-lalo na yung national team. Kung makakalaro man kami ngayong Marso or kaya sa June, sana sama nyo kami sa dasal nyo kasi matindi-tinding dasal ang kailangan namin.
Tama yan.
Makakalaban namin. So, maraming salamat.
Para kayong aakyat ng dito, ano ba pinakabas dito? Mount Apo. Mas mataas pa sa simula. Anyway, Kiefer, always a pleasure. Ingat ka, stay safe. Regards to the family, kay Bong, kay Mosey, and of course, sa lahat ng mga kapatid. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po.
Yan po mga kaibigan. Kiefer Ravena, ang NLEX Road Warrior star, and of course, ang ating hope para sa Gilas Pilipinas. Wow. Yun pala ang kwento doon, Si Kai Soto hindi pa pala masyadong nakapag-training kasama ng Gilas. And that's very interesting. Dahil, yan po ang ating pag-uusapan. Tuloy-tuloy po tayo dito sa Power and Play. Ang oras po natin ay 8:46 ng umaga. Tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa pag-uusap tungkol sa larangan ng basketball. At ngayon po, ang ating mga kasama ay isang mama na talagang ang daming nailabas na column tungkol sa saga ni Kai Soto at tungkol sa mga balita ng NBA. At siya makakasama natin today to give us more revelations. Ito po ang ating resident NBA expert, spin columnist, Homer Sison, live from Chicago. Homer, magandang araw sa iyo. Alam mo, you have made more revelations in the last maybe 1 or 2 weeks than the Bible. Kamusta ka?
I'm good, Commissioner. But some of the revelations, I revealed them with a sense of pain and
Oh.
frustration in my heart.
Right,
Because
right.
a lot of, alam mo naman, Commissioner, a lot of my readers ng spin, and I've always said social media can be a very good tool to send a message across. But sometimes it becomes a poison well. Maski sino dyan, nag-ano,
Huwag mo nang
it's
pansinin
okay.
yun. Yung, oh,
Yeah, I don't.
talaga. Oh.
I don't waste time. But I just want to make it clear. I've been a big fan of Kai Soto. And I've always told everybody, if you have a girlfriend and you see her look at you the way I stared at Kai Soto the first time I saw him, marry her. I like that kid, Commissioner. Pero
Yeah.
ito
Who
na
doesn't?
nakaka-frustrated. Yeah.
Oh, who doesn't? I mean, everybody loves, a dream. Everybody loves this story. You know, a kid from the Philippines who grows up to be this tall, this, this good as a kid, and now developing his skills. I mean, that's a Cinderella story. But again, not all Cinderella stories are yung bang walang villain and walang problema. Lahat naman ng storya ng fairy tales merong pinagdadaanan. And that's what I'm gonna ask you right now, Homer. Marami kang naisulat tungkol sa kanya, but in the beginning, ano yung mga red flags na nakita mo in the Kai Soto saga that gave you the impression that not everything was going right?
Number one was they decided out of nowhere, they decided that Kai was going to play. He made an Instagram message through social media and said, I'm going to play for Gilas. So I just thought it was strange because the G League bubble, hindi pa nagsimula. And then why are you quitting? And not only that, he was already paid all along. He was already paid beginning in August. He was already paid $17,000 every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd think na bayad na siya, we've been starting to take the G League's money, you'd think your commitment would be more there. Number two, when I texted EWP, this was long before they had a blackout like the Kremlin, they said, oh, we got the permission from the G League. But also, Commissioner, it has to be this. Like I said in my column, permission, consent, doesn't necessarily mean the same as approval. You can say it's okay, but necessarily deep in your heart, you don't approve. Kagaya going back to the girlfriend metaphor. If you have a girlfriend and she tells you, Homer or honey, hindi ako makapunta ngayon. Sorry, may plano tayo dinner Friday. Hindi ako makapunta dahil girls' night out. Because you love her, you give her the consent. But then deep in your heart, you're like, oh, is this the girl I'm going to marry? So yun. And then here's another thing, Commissioner. Once the NBA began emailing me, leaking stuff, that's not good. That's a bad sign. And then the agent calls me, then there's more red flags. So I'm like, okay, this is not right.
But I want to ask you, ano ang tingin mong rason? Bakit kinuha niya yung pathway ng Gilas rather than go to Ignite when he was all set for Ignite? No, up to now, a lot of mga haka-haka na hindi siya paborito ni Brian Shaw, he has not performed well, etc., etc. But what do you think, or what is the inside story? May mga naririnig ka ba?
Yeah, here's my theory, Commissioner. Because I emailed ESPN. Kai Soto is number 99 on ESPN's. If in the draft, they have this mock draft, and ESPN has the most credible. Palaging natuto, 80%, 90% of the time, when they say your number this, number that, it comes to fruition. So the mock draft of ESPN, Simic and Givoni, they're the two guys behind the mock draft. So I emailed them, and they wouldn't comment because they don't want to disparage a 19-year-old kid, an 18-year-old kid chasing his dreams. But they stood resolute na 99. And they only take 60, Commissioner. They only take 60 people in the draft, round 1 and 2. So meaning to say, for Kai Soto to make it to the draft between February and in a few months from now, he would have to leap at least 39 spots.
Oh.
And that's not going to happen. And not only that, he is number 14 in his position as a big. He's considered a center because, he doesn't really shoot the three very well. So he's considered a big, and he's number 14. So here's the theory that I surmised. Now, first of all, the contract that Kai Soto has, according to his agent, is north of $250,000.
Wow.
Guaranteed. So even if he doesn't play a game with the G League, he will get all of the $250,000. So ito yung ano ko. So when they found out that they saw, because based on the scrimmage, Commissioner, he was not playing in the scrimmage. He had
Right.
like 8 touches. He had 8 touches in 2 scrimmage games and 14 minutes or so, and playing garbage minutes. So when his management figured out that, he's not gonna play, because Brian Shaw even said, he's not gonna get touches. This is a guards game. Sabi ni Brian Shaw.
Oh.
So I think my theory is this. I may be wrong, but my theory is this. The management firm probably said, hey, our drop stack is 99. We're not going anywhere if he's not playing anyway. Kasi yun ang sabi ni Shaw. So
Right.
why don't we go to Gilas? Maybe he gets some repetition there. Maybe we can monetize it some more. Kasi the rumor is he had a commercial with Smart in there. But my thing here is, Commissioner, I asked Aaron Goodwin. He's a super agent in the NBA. Dwayne Lillard had LeBron and all this stuff. He told me if it were up to him, he would have been in the G League. If it were up to him, he would not have done the Kaiju Academy because it's just too much pressure for Kai. But it was not up to him. It was up to EWP. That's why they parted ways.
All right, let me move forward. Alam natin na si Kai did not return to the G League, and there was a mutual, based on a press release, a mutual decision to part ways. Ano ang kwento dito? Did Kai even want to go back to the G League, or talagang ayaw na ng Ignite na kunin din siya? What was the reason? Was this really a mutual decision?
No, I don't. Commissioner, having been with the NBA since 2000, I mean, working, covering, credentialed, all that stuff, there's no such thing as a press release that's truthful. Most of them are laced with. It's like a press conference coming out of Malacanang. You cannot really take it. You cannot take it with a hook, line, and sinker. So, ang sa akin lang is that it was mutually beneficial for both parties. Kai Soto's camp, it would have the benefit of saying, "Hey, we were not cut. We walked away."
Right.
And NBA also would have the public relations, to prevent the backlash of public relations that you're getting rid of this kid. They could also say, "No, he decided he couldn't make it because of the protocol." Because here, Commissioner, this is what pains me so much. The only loser here is Kai Soto. The NBA, $250,000 is nothing to the NBA. With the media mileage they got since Kai signed with the G League, it's millions and millions of dollars in terms of media mileage.
Right.
EWP, Aaron Goodwin, they all got paid because they get a certain percentage of Kai Soto's income. Only Kai Soto, nothing.
Kawawa naman. But okay, so let's move forward then, Homer. So what's next for Kai? Ano ang options niya na naiiwan para sa kanya para siya makabalik sa kanyang pangarap na makapasok sa NBA?
He can go to college. He can become
Pwede pa ba? Kahit na tumanggap siya ng pera?
Let me finish, Commissioner. He can go to college as the tallest Filipino accountant. He can go to college as the tallest Filipino doctor or the tallest Filipino lawyer. But he cannot be a student athlete. The rule here in the United States NCAA is once you get paid, once you take that money,
wala na.
You cannot unring that bell.
Hindi ka na pwede maglaro, in other words, ng college.
Yes. It's different when, like Jalen, like yung Filipino na nasa, Arizona State University. He hired an agent, Remy. He hired an agent, but when he found out that he's no longer in the draft, he's low in the draft pick and might be taken, he went back to college, fired his agent. You can do that. You can fire your agent, but with Kai Soto, money had changed hands. The amateur status had been lost. That's why I agree with UAAP. From what I'm reading is that Rebo Sagisag and UAAP are leaning towards also considering Kai Soto as a professional, because he did, even though he did not play with the G League, but he did get paid with the G League.
So hindi na rin
Oh.
siya tatanggapin sa UAE.
Hindi siya talaga.
ever.
Yeah,
Oo.
because I agree with UAAP as much as Ateneo would probably contest that, but we cannot have it both ways. If we argue na Filipinos are being short-sighted, being short-changed because we're not accredited for this and that, but then when it's also negative, we have to eat that too.
All right.
So, yeah.
Is Europe an option?
Yes, it is an option, Commissioner. When you have a kid, remember, Kai Soto is only 18 years old, and he's still. Last time I checked, I think he's still 7'3". But
Yeah.
it would be unrealistic. Some of that perfume in the name had diminished a little bit, because
Yeah.
if you're Real Madrid, which offered him 1 million 5 years, a year and a half ago, kung ikaw yung Real Madrid commissioner, are you gonna make the same offer na nakita mo 1 year and 3 months siya sa Skill Factory, 99 siya sa ESPN draft, he didn't play in the scrimmage,
Oh.
so obviously he's not-
Nawala yung mystery sa kanya. Nawala yung...
Yes, the shot. Because I remember this, Commissioner. Before he chose G League, these are all laid out at spin.ph. I interviewed Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, when I said, "Do you know this Filipino Kai Soto?" Mike Cuban immediately said, "Are you talking about the 7-foot kid?" I said, "Yeah." So he knew it. He knew it. Vladi Divac was GM of Sacramento Kings. He told me, "Yeah, we saw him. He's very good." But now, Commissioner, the scouts in the NBA, it's like credit in the bank. Once your credit is ruined in the one bank, the other banks would know.
Your credit is good, but we need cash. You got it.
Yeah. So I don't want to make light of it, Commissioner.
All right. I understand.
I just feel
And
bad for.
we just really feel bad for this situation. Of course, guys, other option is of course always going back to the national team. But again, that is a step maybe farther away from the NBA. Dahil mas marami ka pang dadaanan just to be noticed by the scouts. And
he was
even to
there.
make an impression.
He was there in the doorstep. I don't care.
Sayang.
If I were the
But it's
advisor.
not the end. It's not the end.
It's at the end. But here's the thing, Commissioner. He didn't play. So what? You didn't play. You're still there. You're in the good graces with the NBA. They still have the machinery, the muscle, and they can always make, like, hey, this is our product. They can make teams pick him up on whatever two-way contract.
Yeah.
But now, I'm told, somebody told me, he requested anonymity. I can tell it to you off the air. But he said the NBA no longer wants to deal with EWP.
Wow. That's
I
even
think that-
malaki nun.
Yeah,
Well, I've
and-
always mentioned that I think this was handled really hindi maganda, yung pagkakahandle ng kanyang mga agents, ng management team niya. And Kai has no fault in this. Hindi siya pwedeng
Wala.
masisi because he's only an 18-year-old kid na hindi pa alam kung paano gumalaw sa mundo ng masalimuot na mundo ng basketball. And it's really sad that this happened to him, but of course we all pray that somehow he finds a way back to his dreams. I wanna leave it at that, but I have about a few minutes left here, and I wanna get to some other points about the NBA. Unang-una, we've seen a surge in the games, and I wanna ask you right now, losing streaks for two highly regarded teams na dapat ay contenders, the LA Lakers, the defending champions, and the Boston Celtics in the East. Which team should we be more concerned about? Boston or LA getting into the second half of the NBA?
Boston. Because the Lakers, Commissioner, you have to put an asterisk. No Anthony Davis, no Dennis Schroeder. So you can really, and not only that, the Los Angeles Lakers are 22-11. Meron silang, that's why you gather hay when the sun shines. Because when rainy days comes like this, then you would have that buffer. You would have that caution. The Boston Celtics do not have that privilege, Commissioner. You have Kemba Walker, who's not doing well, coming back from injury. He's shooting terribly. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, the same thing. And even, here's the most damning, even the owner of the Boston Celtics said, our problems right now is because Kyrie Irving left us. Basically threw the team under the bus.
Bumalik na naman doon sa dating
I know. But
my
he,
God.
in some ways, he's right because with no Kyrie Irving, as great as the talent they have with Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, they do not have that all-star point guard. Terry, you got to remember because
Terry
Kyrie
Rozier.
Irving left, Terry Rozier left. He's now with the Charlotte Hornets. So
Well,
now
they have
they
two All-Stars, but somehow it has really they've struggled, especially sa kanilang offense. Let me ask you about this. Alam din natin na two teams are up there, Utah in the West and Philadelphia in the East. Which team sa tingin mo is more surprising and which team do you think will eventually fall off?
Utah is very surprising, Commissioner. I actually have a column coming out at Spin. I spoke to Jordan Clarkson and his father. And, we had a very nice chat and we were talking about it. And I said, what's up with Jordan? Because some players, Commissioner, when they make the big money, they grow in pounds and disinterest. But Jordan grew into a better player. Can you imagine, Commissioner? His career highs in 2-point field goal shooting, 3-point field goal shooting, and points scored per game.
Oh.
But here's the thing. The Utah Jazz, Commissioner, they are in the Western Conference. And you know what that means.
Yep,
You have to go through the Clippers, the Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, the San Antonio Spurs are even surprising. So I'm going to say, as much as I love Jordan Clarkson, I hope he's not watching because he's not going to like this. They're not going to do much. They're probably going to make, because right now as a number one seed, they'll make the conference finals, but they have to go through the Clippers and the Lakers.
Wow.
So I don't think they can. So, but I know bias ako, Commissioner, but the Sixers!
Wag mo sabihin they will fall off kahit alam ko.
The Commissioner, they're very good. I think coaching really matters.
Right.
Because look at the Chicago Bulls. Exactly the same team. Why are they way better now with Donovan? And with Boylan last season, they were nothing. They were bad. And you have now Doc Rivers. Good coaching.
Ibang-iba talaga.
And then
they've pulled off a lot of wins because of coaching. And that's something that I want to say.
I agree. And then Seth Curry. Seth Curry just opens the floor for Joel Embiid. And then also Joel Embiid, Commissioner, if our listeners have noticed, he used to shoot a lot of threes last season. This season, he realized, I don't need to shoot threes. I have all the shooters around me. I do what I do best, which is penetrate. That's why he is number one in the NBA in free throw shooting per game. He's fouled so many times. Nobody can stop him. And then you got all the shooters, Tobias Harris and all those.
Well, I'm hoping magdilang ang hill ka. Na talagang matuloy ang aking Philadelphia 76ers. Before I let you go, the All-Star game is coming up. Despite all of the protestations, yung mga sinasabi ng mga players na their heart is not in it, but it's a job that they have to do. It will begin. And I don't want to talk about the snubs. I don't want to talk about how the voting went. But I just want to ask you, alam natin, KD is going to miss the All-Star game. But he is the captain, so to speak. And he was supposed to choose the players together with LeBron. Sino ang dapat na unahing piliin? And who do you think ang unang pipiliin ni LeBron at ni KD sa kanilang pagpili ng kanilang mga teams?
Well, KD would probably pick James Harden. That's a no-brainer, or Kyrie Irving. That's how it works. Anthony Davis can't play now, so I don't know who LeBron would pick, to be honest with you. But I'm sure he would have picked Anthony Davis. But without Anthony Davis, it's Devin Booker. So that's how it is. I don't know how.
The way I see this All-Star game, parang napipilitan lamang at talagang para lang maipakita. Again, it's NBA is a business, and that's why the All-Star game is going to be staged. One final question, Homer. Final question. The NBA, there's a saying that defense wins championships, but so far we've seen that offense is ruled in the NBA. Also because walang panahon masyado because of a shortened off season na magkaroon ng defensive schemes, and we see that the officiating has always favored the offense, and of course the compressed schedule. So do you think that this season will be different and it will be offense that will rule come the playoffs?
Yeah, the defense will come back in the playoffs, Commissioner, because in the playoffs the games are spread out in such a manner that you don't play back to back. So you play one every 3 games, 1 every 3 days at the most. And on the playoff, the rotation shortens. the possession shortens. So everything shortens. So that's why I'm worried about the Brooklyn Nets, because they're
Yeah.
they're number one in scoring, Commissioner, 121 points per game. Number 24 in defensive rating. That's not gonna get it done in the
Exactly.
playoffs. Because you cannot win games. These are the beauty. People always forget this, that the Warriors did it. Yeah, but during the Warriors run, they were always top 3 in defense also, because of Draymond Green and Iguodala. So I think it will go back to defense. That's why I still like the Lakers, because even if the Lakers are going on a 4 games losing streak, Commissioner, they're still number 3 in defensive rating, number 6 in points per game scored. So mahirap, it's a very good combination for them. And it goes well with your Sixers too, because they have Embiid, and then Simmons is a very underrated perimeter defender. And Tobias Harris. It's really a good team, Commissioner. I'm not trying to get into your good graces here. Talagang magaling ang Sixers.
Well, and of course, alam natin na palapit na yung trade deadline, so marami pang magbabago na maaari mangyari. In fact, I wanted to talk to you about that, but I will discuss that when you return in the show. Homer, always a pleasure to have you sa Power and Play.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you so much, listeners. And Commissioner, because of you, I used to have, before I started attending to you, Commissioner, guesting here, I had 88 followers. Now, I have 1,400.
Aba naman!
Commissioner, yeah.
Kaya yung revelations mo, patuloy mong ilabas yan. Maraming salamat, Homer.
Thank you, Commissioner. Have a good day.
Yan po mga kaibigan, ating kaibigan, Homer Saizon, live from Chicago, ang ating resident NBA expert and of course, Spin.ph columnist. Ako, ang dami talaga nabalitaan tungkol kay Kai today. And we just wish the guy really well. I honestly, mga kaibigan, I really wish him all the best. I hope that Kai finds peace and his way back to his dreams. At this point, mga kaibigan, gusto lang namin po magpakasalamat sa ating mga tagapagtaguyod, mga sponsors ng ating palatuntunang Power and Play. Una sa listahan, Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa tatag, Big Boss sa tibay. Nandito na ang Big Boss Cement. Di basta matitibag, approved sa kalikasan at sobrang abot kaya. Big Boss Cement is the first eco-friendly cement company in the Philippines. First and only cement that is produced with low to 0% of high carbon footprint materials. Big Boss Cement, Big Boss sa tatag, Big Boss sa tibay. Marami pong salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz at sa kanyang buong team na sumusuporta sa sports. Sunod natin, of course, ang Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Sa ganitong pabago-bago ang panahon, mga kapatid, sobrang init tapos biglang uulan. Kailangan natin ng matibay at protektadong bubong. Dapat ang bubong ay yerong may aluminum. Kapag may aluminum, tiyak na pang matagalan. At isa lang, ang alam kong dekalidad na yerong may aluminum. Yan ang Cherry Loom. Tibay protektado sa pangmatagalang yero. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Marami po salamat kay parang Elmer Ngo ng Cherry Loom. Marami din po salamat sa Elms Kapihan and Bar, Elms Resto Bar Group, ang home of Native Itik, na meron pong mga branches sa Calle Bistro Commonwealth, Quezon City, sa Robinsons Novaliches, Poblacion, Makati. Yan po kanilang mga numero. Tawagan lamang ninyo at kayo pwede pong magpa-deliver. Basta mahilig kayo sa almusal, tanghalian, hapunan at snacks. Elms Resto Bar Group, Elms Kapihan and Winery. Marami po salamat kay Ma'am Malu Yambao. Siyempre, marami din po salamat sa Joyride, ang bago niyong kasundo. At ngayon po, ang Joyride ay magkakaroon po ng onboarding ng mga riders na gaganapin po sa March 2 hanggang March 6. Diyan po sa Muntinlupa, ha, para sa motorcycle taxi service at sa delivery service, or rather sa delivery service ng Joyride, ha, yung pong onboarding, yung pong mga gustong sumama. Joyride, mag-download lamang po ng kanilang latest app, Joyride, at ng Happy Move. Also available now in Metro Cebu, in the province of Laguna, and of course, sa Kalakhang, Metro Manila. Alright, marami din po salamat, of course, sa MP School of Makeup Artistry, Makiladge Professional School of Makeup Artistry, ang official makeup ng Power and Play. Marami din po salamat, of course, sa Skin, Your Face and Body Anti-Aging Center. Skin with branches at Alabang Town Center at sa Wilson Street sa San Juan City. Kung sa inyo pong mga pangangailangan sa inyong balat, meron po silang online consultation and of course, they accept orders as well for your needed skincare products. Tumawag lamang po sa 0917-890-1640. Hanapin si Dr. G. Sarmiento at si Doc Richie Sarmiento. Thank you so much sa lahat po ng ating mga naging sponsors at ang lahat po ng mga nakatutok ngayong araw po. Ang dami po nating gustong patiin, lahat ng ating mga suki. Mamaya po babasahin natin ang ating pulso ng bayan. At this point, mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy tayo sa balitaang basketball at ngayon naman po ang ating tututukan ng ating patuloy na serye sa mga draft applicants na papasok sa March 14 PBA draft. And today, we will be interviewing the former Adamson Falcons star, a former mythical member ng UAAP. Walang iba kung hindi ang kapatid ng Alaska player na si Maverick. Walang iba kundi si Jerick Ahanmisi. Panoorin niyo po to. Hello, Jerick. Good to see you again after a long, long time.
Yeah, Nolly, it's nice to see you too again. Thank you for having me.
The last time we saw each other, you were in the studio, of course, with Maverick. And now we're here in this condition. We are locked down for so long. First of all, Jerick, how have you kept in shape? How have you kept busy all this time that you've been under lockdown?
I've just been working out. Well, to be honest, there's nothing really much you can do because it's quarantine. There's a lot of protocols everywhere you can go. So I've literally just been working out at home, and if I can get into a gym, then I can. And I've also been streaming as well. But since I got back down to Manila, I haven't been able to do that as often.
Well, you have been discussed quite extensively because of the fact that you decided to forgo your last year of eligibility in the UAAP to enter the PBA draft, which is, of course, super loaded this year. What were the factors that made you decide to join the draft, despite the fact that you can still play with Adamson, and despite the fact that this is a very, very loaded draft?
Well, I mean, it took a little bit of time for me to actually decide. I had to talk to my family, talk to my brother, of course, because he's in the PBA also. I also had some advice from my girlfriend as well. And, I just had, to take my time with deciding and whether or not I wanted to play basketball my last year or go back home to the States and try to get my degree back home before I start to play basketball again, or try to pursue my career here in the Philippines in the PBA. And, I talked to my family, like I said, and my girlfriend, and I eventually decided that I wanted to play in the PBA and pursue my career here in the Philippines for as long as that possibly can be.
What was the best piece of advice that you got in all that consultation that you did with your family? And I guess who tilted the entire decision? Who made you actually say, okay, that's it. That's the best thing I've heard, and that's the way I'm going to go?
Honestly, my family, they didn't really, force me to do anything that I didn't want to do. We were definitely honest with both of our opinions on, whether or not I should go or not go. And same thing with my girlfriend. We were honest with each other about talking whether or not I should go in the PBA, play my last year, or go do whatever I want. But ultimately, they just told me, whatever is going to make you happy, whatever is the best choice you think is the best for you, you go for that. And like I said, it took me time to decide, but I finally decided that I'm ready to play in the PBA.
Clearly, this pandemic, hastened a lot of things for many people. I guess including many people who wanted to join the draft. The fact that there was no D-League requirement for a lot of the Phil foreigners. The fact that there are no collegiate games happening, and a lot of players are just lazing around. But in your case, Jerick, do you feel that you've served Adamson enough, and that you've done your part, really to help your alma mater and I guess your team make it to at least 3 postseason appearances?
Yes, I believe so. I believe that within the 40 years that I was there at Adamson, I gave it everything that I had. Unfortunately, we didn't, get to play in any of the finals games in the UAAP. But I feel like I brought that winner's mentality back to Adamson, and brought Adamson back to their winning ways, especially with the help of Coach Vance there. Because he's a winning coach, and he's been coaching college basketball for like decades now. So he knows the game and he knows the experience. So yeah, I feel like I definitely served my purpose at Adamson, and I hope that I'll be remembered as somebody who brought the winning ways back to Adamson.
Well, it coincides as well. You're leaving Adamson, coincides with Coach Francis' decision to, pursue a full-time career in politics. So I guess it works both ways. And I guess you both will miss each other and the Adamson community as well. But going back to the PBA, Jeric, you're clearly on your way there. And that's where your brother is right now, Maverick. How big a part of this decision has been Maverick, and what kind of advice has he actually given to you, if at all?
My brother's been a big part of it, just like everybody else I talked to, my family and my girlfriend, and but his advice was, to me, was always just to be level-headed, stay calm, don't be too worried about what people are talking about, like in articles or in the mock drafts that you see on like YouTube or Instagram and stuff like that. He just told me, everything will take care of itself. The right team will choose you, and the coaches in the PBA, they know what they're talking about, and they know what kind of players they want for their team. So he just told me to relax, stay calm. And the only thing I can control really is to just keep working hard. So I've just been, working out every day, shooting in the gym as much as I can, and conditioning as much as I can too. Just trying to control what I control.
Are you ready to play with your brother would be terrific, but play against Maverick in the PBA, Jeric? Have you seen that particular scenario? Have you put that in your mind that you could possibly face him in the PBA?
Yes, I mean, to be honest, ever since we were younger, it's always been something that we would always talk about, and even to this day, it's something that I still imagine. It's just like a dream in my head, and the fact that it's an opportunity, and we're gonna get a chance finally to actually play with or against each other at a professional level. We're doing something that we both love in our life. I can't even say, it's speechless, and it's a dream come true for sure.
Many families who've had, relatives that have played in a league have been very lucky. At least if your father or if your brother or an uncle has played in a league, he's left his footprint there, and there is that legacy that he leaves behind. And do you think the way Maverick has played kind of boosts your stock here? Because obviously Maverick is a guy that is well respected around the league. He's done so much for his team. And now that you're coming in, obviously the Ahan Misi name is not new to coaches anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel that, he definitely helped me in a way to, get our name out there, so that, it's just not like I'm just like some new guy coming into the league or something like that, And also I feel like I kind of helped myself too, coming out here early for college, so that, coaches can see how I play, how I am on the court and off the court and stuff like that. But definitely my brother, he's been working hard. He's been showing teams that he's definitely deserves to be in the PBA, and he definitely helped our name to be out there, and I just can't wait to share the floor with him.
Well, talking about your family, let me just get a little bit personal here, because obviously, fans are all wondering and, of course, asking who Jeric Ahan Misi is outside of his being the brother of Maverick. Where did you grow up, Jerick? And how many siblings are you outside of Maverick? Do you have other siblings in the family?
Yeah, I grew up in Los Angeles, California, in the States.
Mhm.
There's three of us. It's me,
Mhm.
or it's my younger sister, Mylene, and then it's me, and then it's my brother. So my brother is the oldest out of three of us, and yeah, we all grew up in Los Angeles. And growing up, we were actually pretty close. We would always like hang out with each other. It's not like there wouldn't be a day that we wouldn't be together, like all together.
Uh-huh. Did
Especially
you all
from
play
my
basketball?
um
Did your sister play basketball?
no.
All right.
It was my
So,
brother. It's just me and my brother.
so who introduced you to the game? Was it your father, your parents, an uncle, or did you just pick this up in the streets?
Um Honestly, I would say my dad and my
Uh-huh.
mom, because like ever since I was younger, they would always keep like a little basketball. Like even though it was like a little toy basketball, they would
Right,
always keep it
right.
either next to me, like in the crib, or like a little hoop for
Oh,
us to shoot on.
right.
Uh, and especially because my mom's side, they love basketball and they love
Mm.
Kobe Bryant and they love the Lakers and they love watching NBA games and all that. So there hasn't been a day, or there would never be a day where our family wouldn't talk about basketball.
All right. I guess living in LA, growing in a family where your dad and your mom love basketball, and of course the Los Angeles Lakers. Who were the idols that you had growing up? Obviously, it'll be from the Lakers, but outside of the Lakers, did you watch in particular players that you felt you could be like him someday?
Um, to be honest, growing up, I never really watched like anybody else besides Kobe, because ever since I was born was the years that he first got into the NBA.
Mm.
So when I was born, and he got onto the Lakers, it's literally like, the only thing I would watch would be the Lakers. Kobe Bryant. You would hear Kobe Bryant every day, every time they would play. So, he was my idol, and I'm pretty sure my brother would say the same. We watched him growing up, and, he's just been an inspiration to not only men's basketball, but also women's basketball as well.
And how much of Kobe Bryant is in the game of Jerick Anmisi? If coaches ask you, what do you bring to the PBA? How much of that is inspired by Kobe?
I would think a good amount of my game is, I try to get as much as I can from Kobe. But one thing that I've always learned from him by watching him is how smart he plays the game, how he reads people's defense, how he reads people while he's playing defense as well. His basketball IQ was just so off the charts that he would literally know what everybody on the court would be doing, or what is going to happen, or what they're going to do. So, his basketball IQ was definitely something that I watched. I tried to learn, and I'm still learning to this day. I'm still watching Kobe highlights like all the time. So definitely his basketball IQ.
Well, we are certainly looking forward to all of those Kobe moves with Jerick Anmisi being drafted in the PBA. But that's Kobe, and I'm sure when Maverick, your brother, checked into the PBA, I guess you started watching the PBA. And when you look at the players in the PBA, is there any particular comp that you can see with yourself from among players in the PBA that maybe coaches can likewise see and hopefully love and like to draft you enough?
To be honest, when my brother first got drafted, there was a couple players that I already started, to try to learn from and watch, and that would be Paul Lee, because when my brother first got drafted, he was still there, and Gabe Norwood. of course, everybody knows Gabe Norwood.
Right.
So yeah, those two players would definitely be like people I would definitely watch and learn from, and also I can talk to, just to talk about anything, talk about the scores, talk about something off the court as well. They're just two very genuine people, two very kind people who you can literally go to talk about anything. And if you want to go work out with them too, I'm pretty sure they'll be open to that as well. And
Gabe is just about your frame. Of course, Paul Lee shoots just as good as you. And obviously, if that's a comp that you're talking about, that's a terrific combination that you're presenting to the PBA. But when you look at them as well, we know that they've had to adjust to the physicality of the PBA. That's one criticism maybe, or a question mark in the minds of certain coaches about how well you will adapt to the physicality in the PBA. What is your reaction to that, Jerick? And what are your plans in trying to adjust that new game that you will be coming into?
When I hear that, really, it's not really anything that bothers me. I don't think it should bother anybody if anybody, would say that to them. All you can really do is just, try to lift as much weights as you can, try to get bigger, make your body stronger. And if you can't get bigger, get faster, get quicker, try to make different aspects of your game be noticed while you're going into the PBA, and work on things that, people may have seen as a weakness to you, so that once you get to the PBA, people will be surprised with the things that you've worked on and the things that you show while you're in there.
Well, I don't want to ask you which team you want to play, because you guys, I've interviewed a lot of draft applicants, and very few of you would say where you want to go, because that's part of the coaching that you've gotten from your agents. But let me just ask you this. Who among the teams have been the most intriguing for you, and you think, your skills would fit perfectly if you were allowed to join them?
To be honest with you, I don't really know, because like you said, I've been watching the PBA for a long time because of my brother, and I've been watching, a lot of the teams, literally all of the teams, and how they play, their play style, their coaches, and all that. And to be honest, I don't think, there wouldn't be a team for me that I couldn't, adjust to or try to fit into, or a coach that, I couldn't learn from, so I can't really say a team that's most interesting to me. But I just feel like I can work in with any team.
Well, if you go to yan po mga kaibigan ang panayam natin kay Jerick Ahanmisi, na ngayon po ay isa rin sa mga draft aspirants or aspirants na patungo sa PBA ngayong March 14 PBA Rookie Draft. Ano mo, abangan nyo yan. Magaling din yan eh. He averaged about 17 points a game nung nasa UAAP siya. So he's a guy na he can deliver. He will, and of course, he has the genes katulad ng kanyang kapatid na si Maverick. We'll take a quick break dito po sa Power and Play. Ang oras po natin, ganap na 9:30 ng umaga. Magbabalik pa po ang Power and Play, hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. Alright mga kaibigan, bago ko po ipasok ang susunod nating interview kasama ni Jeffrey Cariaso, gusto ko lang pong batiin si Enteng and Ana na nanonood ngayon. Anytime, mamaya magkikita-kita tayo. And of course, gusto ko pong kamustahin ang ating mga suki, si Alex Fuentes mula sa Bacolod City, si Mark Suba mula sa General Trias, Cavite, at si Angelo Redaha from Malolos, Bulacan. Gusto ko rin mag-hello kay Joel Pinsinable. Good morning, Power and Play. At si Chris Tanilon. Happy weekend to you all. James Remolieno. Hi, Idol. Kamusta po kayo? Ang daming nagpapabati. Sana magkaroon tayo ng panahon later on. I'd like also to read yung ating mga nagpadala ng kanilang komentaryo tungkol sa ating Pulso ng Bayan. Sino ang gusto niyong mapabilang sa Gilas team ngayon na maaari tayong maglaro sa FIBA Olympic Qualifying Tournament? Naku, ang dami po. May mga lineup na pinadala na sa akin dito sa Twitter. MGLV and GC. Ang haba. Junmar, Japet, Kwame, Baltasar, Kai, Troy, Parks, Dwight, Pogoy, Kiefer, Perez, 1GDL. Sabi ni Bad Luck, mix amateur daw at saka pro. Sabi ni Sports Insider Philippines, would rather send the cadet team than send an all-pro team with 2 weeks preparation. May punto rin dyan, pero tingnan natin. Baka naman payagan ng PBA dahil malaking tournament ito. From Jasper Ejercito, marami rin po siyang nilista. From Junmar Fajardo all the way kay 3D Ravenna and the younger Gilas players. From Big Daddy Marlon, sabi niya, Kai, Angelo, Baltasar, Ramos, 1GDL, Kobe, etc. etc. No? Merong interesting dito, sabi ni marami, Kai Soto ang humihiling na mapailagay dyan. No? Sabi ni Slow lang, si Kai, kung di na siya makakalaro sa G League. There was also, sabi ni Job Bermejo, ang SMB team na lang. Total, ando na silang lahat. Sabi naman ni Hungrier Than Ever, we need Ramos, Wright, Ravenna, Perez, Soto, and Junmar. Napakarami po na nagpadala. Maraming salamat. Ito pa, mula kay Francisco Garcia, si Kai Soto, ang gusto kong mapabilang. Mula kay Miko Santos, kahit sinong player pwede sa Gilas, wag lang isama sa team CYG at KR. Play for the country and not for ego and pride. Pati ba naman yun? Diyos ko. But this is all for the country. Ika nga, ito po ay sakripisyo ng ating mga players para sa ating bayan. By the way, I'd like to say hello to Gretchen Ho. Thank you so much for watching the show, Gretchen. Hopefully, we get to work and do something on the show very, very soon. At this point, mga kaibigan, gusto ko pong ipasok ang susunod nating panayam. I caught up with Jeffrey Cariaso, ang head coach ng Alaska Aces. He had a lot of things to say about yung chances ng Alaska this coming season. Ito po ang aking interview with the head coach ng Alaska, Coach Jeffrey Cariaso.
Good day, Jeff. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yeah. Pleasure to be back. Thank you for having me, Com. Always pleasure to talk to you.
I've just been following you on Instagram, and I saw you have a baby that's 5 months old, and
Right.
I guess after coming out of that bubble, it must be heaven. It must be gold just to be with your family this whole time.
Oh, it's wonderful, Com. I can't even put it into words. The baby's keeping me young, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, it's really nice to just be able to spend a lot more time than usual with your family. So I'm maximizing that, and I'm just enjoying what we're doing each and every day. So family
it's been
a big part.
Absolutely, it's been a blessing, obviously. But talking about the bubble, you were there for quite some time, and your team, fell a little bit short, but still, it made a good run. But what I wanted to ask is, you were there for a long time. You stayed with your team. You lived with them for 2-3 months in the bubble. What lessons did you pick up from the bubble? What things did you pick up about yourself, about your players, about your team that you can now use moving forward?
That's an interesting question. First of all, we were there for a total of 47 days. So
Wow.
To be together like that is, I don't think we'll ever do it again. So unless we go to another bubble. But what was really interesting about being close and being together like that is you really get to know your players a lot better. And I think that's very important with a team like Alaska that's fairly young. We're building a little bit, and at the same time, just getting to know each other. So we have a group of players that we rely on that are playing bigger roles now, and those players are integrated with the old timers or the vets of Alaska, and how you guys come together is really important, and games is really the number one way of building that chemistry. And when you don't have as many games, it's a little tougher, but when you are living together, again, you get to know each other's habits, you get to know what each other like and dislikes, and it makes you closer. It makes you closer, and that always helps when you're on the court. It really does.
I guess even for yourself, seeing how resilient you can be without your support group, obviously, but finding a new support group in another family, which is your basketball family, that's a huge thing, I guess, for you, Jeff, right?
Yeah. Oh, it really is. So we always say we're fortunate enough to be athletes or coaches now, and if it's not your family, then it's your work, and we love what we do, and it's those two are really close together. In means and when it comes to just what you do every day, keeping you busy, your motivation, your commitment. So you're not with your family, you're coaching and you're playing basketball. So
right. Well, I know you don't miss the bubble because obviously that was time spent away from the family, but it's also a time where, as you said, you had a lot of opportunities to be with your players. But now that you are in this time in the limbo, in the off season, how are you spending it? Preparing for the upcoming PBA season, Jeff?
Right. So after a lengthy time off, a lengthy Christmas season that extended past January, it's really back to work now. We started Feb 1, and we're back. Not total practice, full team practices, but what we're doing is small group practices. So that's what's allowed right now with the current status, since we're still in GCQ. So a bit challenging. We could only get 5 players each group, and we broke the team down into 3 groups, and the 3 groups will work out and practice daily. You're there a little longer than normal. Usually you're there maybe 3 hours, and then you get out. But because of the 3 groups, you're there a little longer, but that's okay.
Have you had the chance to, for instance, speak with management as well as the team and plot out what kind of goals you will have for this season?
I've been in constant conversation with management. Lately with the trade proposals and offers, and we picked up a couple free agents. So there's a lot of conversations with coaches and management. And now what I'm doing the past 2 or 3 weeks is when I get the players at practice, and again, even if it's in small groups, I try to address and tackle it like I would normally if they were complete. So, you got to kind of get the ball rolling. You cannot wait until we're all together. Because last time we did that, we only had 9 days, and 9 days is not enough to prepare for a conference. So really challenging.
Yeah. Well, you spoke about trades that are ongoing. Obviously, the biggest one that's happened, one of the biggest ones that have happened, is the trade that you did with Phoenix, trading away perhaps a cornerstone, a franchise player of Alaska, Vic Manuel. How difficult was this, Coach? Considering how publicly this saga went, with Vic demanding a trade in the beginning, and of course you speaking with him, and it seemed like things were settling down, but then all of a sudden there's that big news. How difficult was it to make the trade and finally pull it?
Yeah, it was actually very difficult, I think. It was a lengthy 6 weeks, I want to say, where it was continuous just conversations with you know, all the other teams who showed interest in Vic.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of a challenge because, and you know, just being honest here, there wasn't as much interest as most people would think, so that made it a lot challenging also.
Mhm.
You know, of course, we felt like, you know, there was a what we felt was a fair trade was getting someone of his caliber and his status. But no teams were willing to kind of go that route, so they were throwing at
Mhm.
us different offers. Some were interesting, some you know, fell off the table, and then some we just flat out just, you know, didn't agree to it because, you know, we felt like Vic was worth more. But
Okay.
it was challenging. I'm not gonna lie to you. Go ahead.
But let me ask you. Let me ask this, Coach. You know, news came out that Vic wanted to be traded. Then there was news that said, you know, everything is settled down. Does this mean that it was never really off the table? In other words, you know, as you said, negotiations kept on going. And was it Vic ultimately who still wanted to get out, or was it Alaska's decision finally to trade him? And I guess the logical question is, what was the reason for the trade?
You know, when I first spoke to Vic, after it came out in the papers, I wanted to really hear from him what he really wanted. You know, if it was true what came out in the papers, because honestly, it was really shocking and surprising that it had come out like that. You know, especially in the media. So when I spoke to him, I wanted to hear it from his mouth, and he did. He did it in a respectful way. Vic is a class act. You know, he's a guy I have a good relationship with. We've always been honest together, and he told me he told me in his tone, in a soft voice, that he wants to be traded. He thinks that he's given everything he has for Alaska, and he feels like he needs a fresh start. So those were his words to me. And again, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, what do you do? You know, at that point, you know, it's not something you're expecting to hear. But if a player comes at you like that,
Mhm.
you know, it's really hard for the commitment part to kind of still
Right.
be there if he was to return. So we kind of made that decision right off the bat. And the roller coaster ride in between from that to the end was really, again, really his camp. You know, his camp was, you know, just throwing a lot of information out there, and you know, it's hard to comment
Mm.
on the
Right.
on
Right.
all
Right.
that. But I just want to say it's you know, I always tell players, you know, your representation should be an extension of you, because he
Right.
came at me very respectful. He came at me very professional, but
Right.
the tone in the media that was brought out wasn't the same Vic. So
Mm. Mm.
we knew that it wasn't really him. So, you know, bottom line is he wanted to move, and we try to do the best thing we can to make it
Mhm.
fair for both Alaska and him.
Well, all's well that ends well, as they say,
Yeah.
and obviously, as
Yeah.
you said, you know, both of you are happy with this decision, I
Right.
suppose.
Yeah.
You know, with what you've picked up, a lot of, you know, a haul of assets coming in, picks
Yeah.
for this year's draft.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Alaska is in a rebuilding mode, Coach Jeff.
Right.
You made roster changes. You let go of
Mhm.
certain free agents, MJ Ayay, Abel Galigues, Yutian
Mhm.
Adrada, and of course the Vic Manuel trade.
Mhm.
I guess the question is this really about a youth revolution in the Alaska camp? You know, you've
Uh-huh.
lost Sonny Toss, obviously. There are very
Right.
few senior players out there, maybe except for JV Cacho and a few others left. But
Right.
are you really going young? Is this part of the
Right.
rebuilding that Alaska is intending?
Well, I think it really is. You know, with some it was expected, with some no. With Sonny, we kind of expected him to retire anytime soon. So trying to fill that hole was it's still a challenge. But are we rebuilding? I think yes, and we're excited about this draft. So um, you know, when you come in to a draft like this, where there's a lot of big names, there's a, you know, there's a lot of applicants. Um, the reason why we were okay with pushing the draft to Phoenix is because a big part of that was us moving up one slot to number 6. And in the second round, us moving up 3 slots to number 16. And a lot of people may not understand why that's important, especially with this draft, but it really is. It really is. We have identified, I think, 6 players in this year's draft who are already ready and eligible. That we feel are key marquee guys that's gonna be able to make an impact right away. And for us to be part of that 6, we're excited about that. So we're rebuilding a little bit. We have guys kind of like in the middle of their careers and guys who are young vets who are gonna have to again expect more responsibilities on their shoulders. So we all need to step up.
What kind of team are you looking to do to build now, Coach? As you said, you are younger. A lot of young guys are now being given leadership positions. What kind of team are you hoping now to mold? I guess in your image and in your likeness.
Right. Well, I've always been my thought has always been. You try to form the team into kind of your personality a little bit, right?
Right.
So I like to play both ends, Colm, and I think you know that, and that's where I'm trying to get the guys to be more consistent. We play both ends. We defend with the same passion as we do on offense, and we defend and we play together, and that's the only way we're going to be able to do something special. That's the only way we're going to be able to beat these teams with overload of talent. We're not so talented, but how we kind of match up with them is us just being playing with grit, us playing together, and then stepping up together. So that's really the main focus.
Well, you have said that the whole crux, the whole focus of this rebuilding is your focus on the draft that's upcoming. First of all, what kind of players are you looking for the team? I'm not going to ask you to reveal your secrets. Just the kind of players are you looking for? For bigs? Are you looking for guards to pick up? Or as you said, you want guys that play both ends of the floor. But obviously, you have some people in mind. And what kind of players are these, Coach Jeff?
For the first round, it's no secret. I've said it, before. We're really looking at trying to acquire the best big that's available. And again, to go back to my what I said before, we've identified 6 guys who I think are going to be marquee guys, and I think 2 bigs are going to fall into our laps depending on what the first 5 will choose. So we're happy with any of those 2 bigs that's going to be available. So we're looking at someone, and with no question, that's going to be able to fill in the shoes a little bit of a big man well, and then still be able to be big, because we do need a little bit of height and might, and kind of cover a little bit of the shoes of a Sonny Toss. So that won't be easy, but I think with the 2 players that we've identified, we feel that we can really cover up a lot of that gap or void that we talk about.
The PBA is not going to do the combine, so most of the teams, including yours, have already started inviting draft applicants to for you to see them up close and personal. Who among the draftees have come to the Alaska camp, and who has so far tickled your fancy, Coach Jeff?
Yeah, we've had a few guys come through the last couple of weeks. So big names like Leonard Santillan, Muyang has he's come by yesterday. Larry Muyang, Ben Adamos. So it's someone that we like also, and then we have guards in Taylor Brown, who came in for a couple of days, but he kind of hurt his hamstring. So I don't know what he's doing now. But Brian Enriquez, and then today we had the kid from UP, David Morrell, come in. So I think from from the list of what I just said, you can tell who we're looking at a little bit for the first round and the second
Although
round.
I didn't hear the name of Calvin Oftana, who obviously is also a big. Is he a guy that is also part of that list?
Calvin is a guy that we didn't bother inviting anymore because if he does fall in our laps at number 6, then there's no question that if he's available, we're grabbing him. So
all right,
again, he's one of those sure guys.
Coach, you've got as you said these guys: Maverick, Ahanmisi, Jeron Teng, and JV, and some other guys that may pick up the leadership here and of the team. So I guess in summary, what excites you this year as you build this new team of Alaska?
What's exciting, and I put myself in the perspective of the players, is there's going to be opportunities, and I think the players are excited about that. With Vic moving on and not being with us anymore, everyone, especially the bigs, are they know that they need to level up, and again, I expect a more impressive year from guys like Rodney and Abu. Barkley, this will be his second year, so I'm excited about him. And then guys that we picked up in the free agent market in Yusuf Taha, we're really excited about him. He's given us hype, knowing that Greg and Junmar are going to be back this year. So he's given us a little bit more height that we were missing when Sunny left. So we think he's going to be an important piece to us. And then Gab Banal, we're excited about him. I think he has the ability to play well in our league. I just don't think he was ever given an opportunity. So this is a chance to kind of showcase what he has against the best in the country.
Well, you mentioned Junmar coming back. You mentioned Greg Slaughter coming back. What concerns you more, Coach Jeff? The return of these two players or the return of Coach Chot Reyes for talk and text?
Wow, yeah, I'm just as excited for Coach Chot, and being able to coach against him on the other side is going to be really interesting. I've never done that. I was telling Eric the other day that what's really awesome is I never played against or played for Coach Yang, but I played for Coach Norman, I played for Coach Chot, and I played for Coach Tim, obviously. So just mentioning those 3 or 4 guys, it's really an interesting challenge for me as a young coach, just being on the opposite side now. In somewhat their level, not their level in achievement, but their level as a coach.
Absolutely.
So it's challenging, and I'm excited for it.
Well, don't sell yourself short. I'm sure they're also worrying about you and the way that you've handled this team, obviously. I asked Coach Chot about this, and I want to ask you as well. We know that, innovations is part of the league. The NBA does it a lot. Are you for or against trying out the Coach's Challenge in the PBA?
Oh, interesting. You know what? I like adapting to something that's new and what can help out. So I would love to try that. Only because, one, it's never been done in the PBA, and then number 2, it might allow you to make the right call when it's necessary. And sometimes all it takes is just one call, and that'll be the difference between a win or a loss. And that game could be the difference between you making the playoffs or not. So, one call can be a big difference. So, yeah, I'm in favor of innovation. I like the idea. I say, let's try it.
I've always believed that rule is not so much. Well, it's partly, coaches having the opportunity to really try to give their team a boost, but another part of that is really how much faith you have with the referees. And I won't talk about that right now. All right. Before I let you go, just 2 more questions.
Sure.
The NBA has been hit by a lot of COVID cases. It is a concern about their season, about their team's chances. is that something that is in your mind as you enter this new season? You know, how COVID will become a part and parcel of success this year for any team?
It really is. It's a constant worry. You know, we like the idea of having a bubble in Manila, so we're closer to our families. I mean, an interesting stat: the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, according to Boss Dickie Backman, all the teams have been negative in all our swab tests so far, and that means we're trusting everyone to really, when they leave their house, all they're going is to practice, and then they're going back home. You know, and they're being safe if they're going to go to the supermarket and or go to Starbucks or whatever. Do I worry if we're allowed to do that, but in the game venue? I think we could do it. I really do. If we maintain us being responsible and staying disciplined and understanding big picture, where we want this conference, we want this season to really play out, and we don't want just an all Filipino. Let's get a second and third conference. You know, I think that's what we're here for. So let's get more games. But it's going to take everyone just understanding that you cooperate. You be responsible for yourself. If we could do it the last 3 weeks, I think we could do it all year.
Well, you know, that's everyone's wish, and we certainly hope that the PBA will be able to do it, of course. And finally, I guess the final question I have for you, Coach Jeff, is who do you think is the team to beat with the return of Junmar, with the defending champions Ginebra, the suit-up team of Magnolia? Who do you think? And of course, Alaska, talk and text with Chot Reyes. Who do you think is the team to beat this season?
Gosh, Com, that's a difficult answer. I just say this: every game is going to be, like a playoff game, and that's how we approach every game anyway. I don't think the trades are done. You're going to see a lot more trades going on. There's going to be a lot more movement. So I expect the lineups to change a little bit more, but every game, I believe, is going to be like a playoff game for us.
Well, we are eagerly looking forward to that, and of course, how you're going to do.
Yan po mga kaibigan, si Coach Jeffrey Cariaso ng Alaska Aces, consummate professional. Yung sinabi niya, the trades are not yet done. That's going to be very interesting. Before I end, gusto ko lang po magpasalamat sa Signal TV, kay Ma'am Shena Olaso, kay Miguel Vea, everyone for giving us a new deal. We're extending. We will have a new look very soon thanks to our new partnership with Signal TV. Papalakasin pa natin ang power and play. Alright mga kaibigan, that is it. Mga kapatid, marami po salamat sa inyong pagsubaybay. Susunod na po ang inay ko po. Sa ngalan po sa lahat sa amin dito, maraming salamat po sa inyong suporta sa Power and Play. Happy Sports Weekend, mga kapatid. More power, more play.